cruising, you're feeling the heat. All you ever wanted it to be. The summer, the summer of you. Do all the things you wanna do. The summer, the summer of you.
This is Signal Hill in St. John's, Newfoundland. Now, today, it's a popular tourist stop. There's hiking trails all around the rugged coastline of Newfoundland, which is absolutely stunning, but it's also a historic spot and one that does tie into boating, believe it or not. So in 1901, December 12th, it was on this very hill that Guillermo Marconi received the first wireless transatlantic message from his wireless station way across the Atlantic there in Cornwall, England. Well, fast forward about 22 years, and we are in 1923, and a little thing called the airplane has made its advent and is growing in popularity, especially flying between London and Paris across the English Channel. They needed a way to verbally say distress because the old way, Morse code, wasn't used on airplanes and was going away. So what do you use? Because the letters SOS are hard to enunciate, especially with a semi-garbled radio transmission. So what they came up with was to take the French phrase venez mayday, which means come help me, and just take the last part of that word, mayday. And from 1923, for a few years, it was used for those flights across the English Channel. But in 1927, the International Radio Telegraph Convention in Washington decided that mayday would be the standard voice distress radio call for everyone. And it remains so to this day. And it all traces its roots back to this hill in St. John's, Newfoundland. This is the first Wednesday in August, which means it's the Royal St. John's Regatta. It is the oldest sporting event in North America. Now, the date that you'll see everywhere says since 1818, but the first recorded race was 1816, and there were unofficial races in the 1700s. Basically, if you get two boats beside each other and enough free time, people are gonna race those boats. That's been happening here for a long time. But a lot of unique things happen here other than that long history. The most notable one is the course itself. If you watch this sort of rowing race at the Olympics, World Championships, anything like that, it is a straight line. Here at the Regatta, they have to turn about halfway down, do a 180, and race all the way back. Number two, this is a holiday, but not for the province, just for St. John's area. It's also known as the world's largest garden party because 50 or 60,000 people come around the shores of Kitty Vitty Lake, and there's tents, and there's draws, and there's food, and there's music, and there's face painting, and all kinds of great stuff. So what does someone who's never been to Newfoundland wear to something that he's never been to? His honeymoon party shirt. So managed to track down the president of the committee, Noelle Thomas-Kennel. How are you?
I'm great. It's been a great day so far, so I'm doing well.
So this is my very first regatta, but it is not the first regatta by any stretch.
No.
205th.
205th anniversary, so there's a couple that have been canceled in between for, you know, wars and pandemics, but 205th anniversary of the Royal St. John's Regatta.
So how long have you been involved in the committee and the regatta overall?
Overall, so I've been on the committee since 2009, and I've been around overall since I was in my mother's belly, because she is on the committee as well, and she actually started on the committee the year that I was born. So
you don't recruit volunteers, you breed them.
You breed them.
Smart. I like this.
It's true. And I've got one in the making. She's ready to roll this evening.
Oh, fantastic. Tell me a bit about this course. So, like, I've watched Olympics, I've watched World Championships. It is a straight line, off they go. This is not that.
Yes, this is not that, no. So we start and finish from the same. the same buoy. You'll see at one end they actually hold on to a toggle, and it's not a floating start, so they'll wait until the gun goes, and then they throw the toggle, and then the team goes. They'll go up to their buoy and turn. And there's rules within, you know, our official race rules of the way that they have to turn, whether they have to give way to the team that's coming in first. There's all kinds of different things that we add to our course because it's a turn, and then they finish at the same place they started.
Right. And so very unique, but back in the day, 205 runnings ago, I'm pretty confident it was just men doing this. But now we've got women, we've got kids, it seems. Who participates in this?
All of St. John's. If you look around, so rowing-wise, we have children as young as 10.
Wow.
So that's when they can start. We have actually men and women into their 60s and 70s who are rowing still. And you're right, it did originally start with just men. And last year we had the very first time ever in our history that women had been given the chance to row, or the choice to row the full course. Traditionally, it had only been reserved for men.
Right.
And last year we had the option as well for men to row the short course, which was traditionally the women's course. However, nobody took it up last year, and we do have our very first one this year, first men's crew rowing. They rowed earlier this afternoon and made history. So.
Very cool. History still being made into the 3rd century.
Exactly.
That is not an easy feat.
Imagine. It's not.
A stupid question from someone from Ontario. You know, you get your calendars and it has all of the holidays all over it, and there's like Nunavut Day, there's you know, this day, this one, Royal St. John's Regatta Day. So is this a Newfoundland holiday?
It's a St. John's holiday.
Just St. John's?
It's just St. John's. It's a municipal holiday decided by a group of 50 volunteers that have nothing to do with the municipal decisions otherwise, and it's based entirely on the weather. So it may or may not go tomorrow. It's always planned for the first Wednesday in August, but it might be Thursday.
I heard a great term from a local, which was regatta roulette.
Absolutely.
That, like, you're planning on it being the Wednesday, and you go out, and then, whoops, the storm's rolled in, off you go to work.
Right?
So that happens? You didn't leave me straight?
That happens all the time. That happens all the time. Last year, we did postpone by a day. The rouletters, they won today, you know? And quite often, George Street Festival is on the go, and you'll have lots of people down there celebrating last night in hopes that today is a holiday.
So the regatta may just be a St. John's local specific thing, but boating certainly is not. That is all over this province, this island, and people have a connection to the water here like you wouldn't believe. So let's go see how the boaters local. Take deuce. So the tourism experiences in Newfoundland are what most visitors will, you know, get to experience. But if you've been here before for work like I have and made a friend like Rick, how are you, buddy?
Good, good.
You get to find out how the locals go boating. And as much ocean as there is, there's a lot of lakes. Ponds, you call
Yeah,
them,
ponds.
right?
There's
Ponds.
no lakes.
Sorry, no
3
lakes.
or 4 lakes.
Ponds. And before we go out on your pond, I want to talk about this beauty.
It's been in the family for over 50 years.
So Simpson Sears, like the catalog and the...
Yeah. Yes, I guess it came from the catalog. At one time, Simpson Sears was on Water Street in St. John's, and back in the day, it cost $600 for boat and motor.
Woo. It's basically the same as it is now.
Yeah.
Give or take a couple zeros.
Yeah.
Was this the original 9 horsepower?
No, we remotored it. We had a 7.5, and about...
Well, then you went power crazy.
Oh, yeah, we went high
Right.
output. About, I guess, 25 years ago, the 7.5 just gave out.
Right.
And I happened to find a guy very close to me that had this. So I bought that and got it running. And it's like anything that's 50 years old. It's sporadic. It didn't want to start today, but it'll probably start tomorrow. We keep it. It's in the fleet.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll leave this one on dry land because I want to make sure we can get the camera back.
Yeah.
And you got a pontoon though, right?
Yes, I do.
Let's do it.
Okay.
I met Rick earlier this year when I visited Newfoundland for work, and he told me if I was ever back to let him know, and he'd give me a tour of the lake behind his summer place. Now, this was for a Yamaha Financial Services grant that his ATV club got because of their safety outreach efforts. So you know he's safe, and if you've been watching Waterways, you know I'm all about safety on the water. So if you ever see me and there's no PFD in the shot, just know it's likely because of logos and lawyers and all kinds of other nonsense. But we're always safe, we're always legal, even if you don't see it in that particular shot. So with that, here's the tour with Rick.
Oh, yeah. Everything that I've ever done up here, like I learned to swim here, you know, I skated on this pond as a kid, learned to, you know, ride, how to use a boat, learned how to snowmobile. You know, Mom and Dad, you know, they put out branches and I could go around in circles. Like Dad says, I wore out a snowmobile just going left. Just going around in circles. And, you know, it's all happened in here. The Summit Series in 1972. Myself and my father and my grandfather were fishing off that wharf, and there's a generator running with a black and white TV, and we were listening to the hockey game. So a lot of memories in this cove for sure.
Oh. Okay. So tell me a bit more about this. I'm tempted to say lake. I got to work on my Newfoundland dialect. Pond.
Yeah.
Are there anything? Well, Kitty Vitty Lake. Yeah. Right. Is that? Or do people call that a pond?
No, no, that's a lake.
That's one of the few lakes? These rules are unclear. Well, that's another question that I have that I love asking people, like why they have, what type of boat they have for where they are. So you got this pontoon. It seems like a good boat for this kind of lake.
It works perfect for here. It started out with the Simpson Sears aluminum. Then I went into a Sunray 15.5 foot with a 50 Johnson, two-stroke, you know, back in the day. Yeah. And then we were out of it for a little while. And I started back then, I bought a jet boat, and it was like buying a NASCAR. It was fun, it was supercharged. You could come out here and next thing you know, $200 worth of fuel in the weekend and $300 or $400 worth of repairs. And you go in, you know, you're loving it Friday, hating it on Sunday. So that had to go. Went into a Doral bow rider, and then we started seeing these come around. A friend of ours had it first. We went out one evening on it, and the rest is history. We bought it, and we love it. It's great for the grandkids. You know, even though it's a 50, you can tow them on a tube. You know, they're 6 years old. It works perfect for them. We break the code of not to have cheesies on the boat, but the kids like their cheesies, so.
Well, I don't see any orange fingerprints
no,
anywhere, so
no, I knew you were coming.
Boats come in all kinds of shapes and sizes, but here are two pretty unique ones that you don't see every day that I wanted to share with you that don't really fit anywhere else in the show. Starting with picnic table boats.
Hi, my name's Mark McMacken. This all stemmed from about 20 years ago when I had a floating dock, and my brother went out on the dock for a day and hooked up my Minn Kota motor and drove around the lake and got the worst sunburn ever. And I always thought about it, and I'm a maritime shipping lawyer, was trained as that, and I like boats. And so I started needling around the concept and worked on it with another marine engineer. I'm a sailor, so if you're not in the right direction, the drop keel goes down, stabilizes you so that you can move forward without getting blown ashore or blown aside. All the cedar I get from Quebec. It's milled in Quebec, and then we do the work here in Hastings County with my partner, Mike Cole. We have been quite overwhelmed with the interest in this.
I am very excited about this one. And before I move on, because I am genuinely thrilled, John Dewar, thanks so much.
Pleased to meet you, Steve.
Nice to meet you, and pleased to meet one of your multiple Amphicars. There weren't many made, there aren't many left. Tell me why you have one, let alone 3, or is it 4? How many do you have?
Well, I have 3 that actually float. A couple more carcasses that are parts. This is the blue.
This is the original?
Original blue, original yellow interior, original seats, flooring, everything. Built in Berlin, and they shipped them to the US, and by '68, they wouldn't pass emission standards anymore, so the company went bankrupt because they couldn't supply anymore to the States. Size of motor, it's got a whopping 43 horsepower.
And there's twin props.
Twin props. Almost like a PTO that you engage inside the dual activated transmission. You can actually run the land transmission in the water, but it doesn't make any sense until you leave the water, because that's where you need the traction to pick up the ramp to get out. So just a really weird transmission system, kind of cool.
I guess it can't take huge waves, right? So we're not crossing Lake Ontario today. We'll stick in this section of the Trent Severn. Don't worry, New York, we'll see you another day. I am excited. All right, let's do this thing. Onward. So often do you take this out?
Well, I like to take it out about 3 times a year, roughly. One of the biggest days is Canada Day. We go out towards Lakefield area, and then we have fun just taking people for rides and putting around and just taking some pictures, having some fun.
43 horsepower. Listen to that baby purr.
It's a powerhouse.
You know when I said let's drive to the lift lock, I meant like...
Oh, you want to go in?
Yeah.
You actually want to take the car in the water?
It's an Amphicar. I've seen the car part. I want the Amphi part.
Oh, okay, well, let's do it.
I don't have the words to describe how excited I am for this part.
It feels like you're going to continue to go straight down into the water, and all of a sudden, it pops up.
Wait for it.
There it is. We're in. We are in. We are in the canal.
I saw the props. How are you steering?
Well, the rudders are your front tires, sir.
No
And
way.
we use the steering wheel to move ourselves left and right, which is, as they call it, a bad boat and a bad car, all in one.
So we're running out of time in this episode, but I couldn't leave without getting out on the ocean and trying to see a whale or a puffin. And luckily here in Bay Bulls, you can do both. Also, arguably, the best name in all of Newfoundland and Labrador. So they're boarding the boat. Let's get on board here with Gatheralls. And hey, we'll try and distract the captain midship too, find out what's going on. Before the ship takes off, they just pointed this out. This is actual baleen from one of the whales. Like, they don't have teeth, so they open them up, get all the fish and whatever in there, and push the water out through these, and that's what filters it out. And then behind me is the washer. But it's on the water, which means it's nautical, and that counts.
Puffins. If you're looking for puffins, boy, you're in the right place.
I've breached the helm. Here with Regatta. How are you, buddy?
Not bad, boy.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, no problem. Happy to take you out for a spin.
All right, so puffin and whale watching. We saw the whales, we saw the puffins. 2 for 2. Just that easy, isn't it?
No, well, yeah, today it is, yeah. Other times it doesn't go so good, but you're looking around, know what you're looking for.
Yeah. And, well, what's the whale sort of season? Obviously, you know, you
we're
can't...
a little past the best of it now.
Yeah.
But there's a few whales scooting up and down the coast back and forth. But about a month ago, we had trips over 25, 30 whales. They're just basically sitting and eating, having lunch.
Yeah. And when do they arrive? Is it sort of...
Generally, first whales arrive in May.
Okay.
But when we start to see them on a regular basis, would be mid-June up until mid-August is whale time.
Right.
With that being said, July is generally the best month.
And what about the puffins? Are they here all the time or just for breeding?
No, puffins are here from the 1st of May till mid-September.
And so how long have you been doing this?
Now, 38 years now. So.
Started when you were 10 years old, eh?
No, I wish. Yeah.
So what's you know, you've got a lot going on here. There's lots of boat tours in the world. You've got all the passengers, you've got all that, and on top of that, you're trying to chase down whales that won't always cooperate.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's how we make a buck.
Yeah.
Right? Trying to support our habits. Right? When this is done, snowmobile season.
A couple speedboats, like pleasure craft out there going to look at whales. If you happen to be boating somewhere near whales, like we're on a bigger vessel, you've been doing this a long time, you know what to do. What should people do if they're out on a boat and see a whale? Do you, like...
Well, there are specific rules as to how close you can approach. And most people that are not familiar should just stay back, slowly get familiar with what the whale is doing. Most whales are just busily going, either feeding or they're going someplace. And occasionally, if you're in the right place at the right time, there may be a whale who might come to you, and we just stop, and then they're playing with the boat. And yeah, so it's pretty cool.
And even though I am all bundled up, I feel the need to tell you that it is June. It is this is a summer day in Newfoundland, and this will happen in the North Atlantic.
So, for those of you that don't know, we are doing a screech-in, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to make these fine 6 folks honorary Newfoundlanders. This guy got it. That was pretty good.
Self 5.
All right. No hesitation. Beautiful. What comes after 2? 3. So, congratulations, folks. You do get to keep those shot glasses.
Now, if we wait 3 or 4 hours, we might see that ship come in. And in the meantime, I have more historical facts for you.